Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining us here this Wednesday evening, or whether you're tuned into the archive or live. I am Sean King, still over there, the beautiful one in the purple.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good. Come on, what's my name? Come on, what is it?
Melissa.
Isn't he clever?
He goes to that again. 2 days of hell right there. Let me tell you that right now, boys.
Wasn't just because of that. Come on.
Don't even start with me. So Apple announced the Shot on iPhone campaign winners. This was the campaign that Apple shot itself in the foot. And this always just surprises me. I guess because I know so many people at Apple in PR, just because I've been dealing with them all these years. And a lot of them have come and gone. And they've often been very, very smart people. So whenever Apple does something really dumb, it makes me go, what the hell are you thinking? As a refresher, Apple said they were going to run this campaign, not a contest, but a campaign, and they were going to take these images and post them around the world to billboards and on commercials and on websites. It was a fantastic idea, but you weren't going to get a dime. Everyone else was going to get something. The guy putting up the billboard was going to get money. The guy who did the ad campaign was getting money. Everyone's getting money except the one who created the ad. And that really rubbed people the wrong way. And it didn't matter whether people were professional photographers or not. Apple seemed really tone deaf in not recognizing the act of creation, in minimizing what can be arguably the most important part of the campaign, the photograph. The thing that made the campaign possible, the photograph, was the one thing that no one was going to get any money for. So they eventually backed down that. We haven't heard how they're going to back down, but how they're backing down. But I'm going to assume that the winners are going to get an iPad, at the very least.
And their name, of course.
Their names are on. If you go to the website, Apple's website, they have listed all their names, but not their real names. Just the. No, wait. I take it back. I take it back. They do have their real names listed, and their Instagram accounts. So if you didn't have an Instagram account, maybe you were going to be screwed on this. So they had an international panel of judges. They had Pete Sousa, the former Obama and Ronald Reagan official White House photographer. Austin Mann, who's a big favorite of Apple. They give him review units all the time, and a bunch of other folks. The thing I like about the website that Apple has posted, and I'll put this in the IRC chat room, is they've got a little bit of commentary from some of the judges as to why these images were chosen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the images ourselves, talk about them, and see what we think about them. And hopefully the audio works through this stuff. So let me just... Audio still working? Yay, audio's still working. So the first image Apple posted up, and let me... yeah,
I can see it.
You can see it. Okay, Melissa can see it too. I really like this first image. This is as Chen Man says in the description of it, it's full of color. It's full of really interesting elements. It's interesting people. It's a basketball court. You can tell this is not inner city, but certainly not a wealthy neighborhood with the laundry on. For some reason, I always love, maybe because it reminds me of when I was a kid, I lived in this kind of housing, kind of seemingly public housing in Halifax and Gottingen Street. And we were always clothes hanging out on the balcony.
Of course.
And I love it.
Of course.
I love this. Whenever I see this when I go traveling in Italy or in Paris, and I know we're going to see it in Lisbon, I really like the idea of this is a place where people live. This is not a tourist area. This is a place where real people live and work and have kids and just do their lives. Because the laundry's hanging between, two buildings.
You talk to people up at the top or at the side. Did your mom do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I
underneath.
really like this shot.
Yes.
There's not a lot wrong with this shot. The only thing I could even slightly critique on this shot is on the right and left-hand side, they've cut off the two palm trees on either side. But that's a completely minor issue.
Yeah.
You only notice it when you're looking for it. I'm looking for something wrong with this photo, and that's the only thing I could find.
More on the right than on the left.
Yeah, but I think it looks fantastic. The color in this one is absolutely lovely. The next one Apple showed was a black and white shot, and this was of a raccoon looking through obviously an old log. But I'd love to know the story of this. Did they put down some peanut butter to get the raccoon there? Because if you were just sitting there, I don't think the raccoon would have, because remember, raccoons are nocturnal animals. I don't think if you were just sitting there, a raccoon would have walked up.
Oh, yes, he
and
would.
Looked in. You think he would have?
I want to find, I have a picture of a raccoon. It's beautiful too. Okay. No, I love it. I think they're very bold, and I don't think they've set it up at all. I think he just was there.
So if that's the case, you got to imagine that the photographer either saw the raccoon at this old hollowed out log and walked up and took the shot, or he was sitting there waiting for a raccoon to come by.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about this shot is the texture of the log. It gives this really interesting zoom in effect that's not there, but it feels like you're zooming in to the raccoon. And this breaks the rule of thirds. Remember, the rule of thirds is the most important thing should never be in the center. But in this case, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect.
Not quite in the center, a little bit higher, but yeah.
Close enough. You wouldn't want to crop this higher or lower than what it is right there. That's just beautiful. And I think part of it is, and this is something we'll talk about in Lisbon at the end of March, is that there's this weird photographic thing that you should shoot things in odd numbers, and particularly threes. I don't know why this works, but if you take a picture of 2 trees, it won't be as interesting as a picture of 3 trees.
Okay.
Or 2 people, it won't be as interesting as 3 people. I don't know why that is, but it's true. If you look at these kinds of shots and you'll see it for yourself, start looking for odd numbers, 3s and 5s and 7s of stuff. It's just strange. But in this case, there are 3 holes.
Yeah, no, I like the holes.
And the 3 holes are your
3 things.
3 things, and that's what makes the image, in my opinion, work even better. The next shot I loved. I absolutely loved the next shot. This really wild, cool, funky, almost abstract picture taken, obviously in a puddle.
It's in a puddle.
And again, is this a puddle that they created? They threw water on the ground and did this, or is this just immediately after a rainstorm? The colors of this are wonderful. The way the sky is caught, and you kind of look at this photo and study it to see which part is water, which part is ground, and it wouldn't have been the same if the puddle didn't have some dry spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If this had been all reflection, I don't think the photo would be nearly as good, because by having these gaps in the photo, your brain fills them in automatically. So you're making the viewer do some work in order to interpret the image. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant visual of this. The other thing is, I saw this as I was going through these photos, and something to, as a beginner, keep in mind. Most of these photos, or certainly these first 3 photos, are pictures that you can take. These are all taken with an iPhone.
Yes.
None of these are taken with any kind of fancy DSLR or any fancy that we know of lighting or anything else like that. They were probably edited either in the camera app or Snapseed or some other, because Apple allowed people to edit the photos to bring out the colors to make them pop some more. But these are not difficult photos to take. It's just a matter of looking around. The first photo, it's a matter of looking around and seeing that basketball court, composing it, moving around so you get that composition you want of the people on one side, people on the other side, and that lovely building in behind. This shot is you're walking around, say, after a rainstorm, and you see this really cool building, and you look down. Instead of just looking, like something I've always said, we tend to always look straight ahead at our own height. So I'm 6'3", so I look at 6'3". Melissa's 5 foot nothing, so she's always looking at 5'2.5". So she's always looking at 5'2.5". So you have to train yourself to look up and look down to find things that are off that plane of your visual line of sight. So look around, look down. I tend to look up a lot because I'm tall, I think. But I will often see things on top of buildings or on balconies that other people don't actually see. But this is obviously a photographer.
Is that a bird in the top right, reflected?
It might be the start of a bird in the top. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So my photo didn't Didn't show. Yeah, that's a
Interesting.
bird reflection in the top right.
Wow.
Really, really cool shot. Now the next one, the basketball court one, I'm not such a fan of. Sorry, tennis court one, I'm not such a fan of. I don't know that I like it as much as I like the previous ones. How about you?
No, it doesn't do very much for me. I mean,
Like the color,
I love the color. It's one of my favorite colors.
although I don't think I've ever seen a tennis court this color.
It's the clay. It's a clay tennis court.
You think it's clay?
Yes.
I thought clay was browner than this. This is more
No, that
orangey.
looks like a clay court
Okay,
to me.
you're the tennis expert. But yeah, this doesn't grab me. This doesn't do much for me. If there had been something else in the image, maybe a tennis ball, a racket, a foot, something.
Yeah.
But this one kind of leaves me admiring the color, but not so much the image itself.
No. Lots of lines.
Next one is another reflection shot, and these are great. Look for reflection shots. One of the best times to go out shooting, especially in cities because of the pavement, is after a rainstorm. Because you'll get all these puddles all over the place. You get really neat things. And if you can do it, it doesn't really matter the time of day because you're shooting down, so there's less worry about light. But golden hour light or twilight, you can get some really neat reflections of things. So when you're looking for, and this is another example of the, oops, sorry, I didn't show the audience that. This is another example of patience. So go out after a rainstorm, find that puddle, walk around the puddle to see what's reflected in the puddle, and then see if there's people walking around.
Wait.
Because maybe you don't want people in there, and therefore you have to wait for them to go away. Or maybe you do want someone to walk in your shot just like this and be patient for it. But it's kind of hurry up and wait. So you have to find the shot, wait for the shot, but then be ready to take the shot. Because if you're out on a cityscape shooting this, then you're not going to be able to stop a pedestrian and go, excuse me, would you mind walking just right this way? If you have a model, if you have a friend who can do it for you, then go ahead and do it. But for the most part, this is a street scene, make sure, as we've talked about before, your camera is ready to shoot that street scene. I really like that one.
I really like this shot.
Really like that image. The next one is very, very sweet, very cute. I don't like the composition from the point of view of the branches that are just, to me, distracting. You see
That's
what I mean?
the Squamish Chief.
Is it?
That's here.
No, it says U.S.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
so
It looks like the Squamish Chief.
It could be.
Okay.
It could be.
So you don't like the composition? Sorry.
Well,
what?
if only because of the branch that's breaking the lines of the little girl, right directly in the center lower portion of it, and the other branch on the right-hand side that is also, to me, a little
A
distracting.
little distracting.
If they weren't there, I think the shot would be much, much more powerful.
I love the mist in that big
Oh,
tree
absolutely.
on the left
Yep,
there. Just
yep.
gorgeous.
I absolutely agree with that.
and the color in the
and
foreground.
The cute little girl looking up.
Yeah.
Not looking at the photographer, but looking up at a bird or a tree.
Well,
or
what is she looking at?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. No, that's the kind of thing that I have talked about many times. Trying to encourage people to take pictures that tell a story, and sometimes the viewer fills in the story. So you are either consciously or subconsciously seeing this and thinking, "Oh, she's looking at a bird or a tree or maybe a tall person." But you are filling in that story, even if you're not doing it consciously. You're doing it. You're telling a story with this image of this wonderful wilderness that the little girl is in. You can sort of feel it's fall, or it's probably fall. Maybe Wyoming, maybe in Squamish, maybe someplace.
No, it's probably in the U.S. I'm mistaken.
Probably in the U.S. somewhere. Yeah. The next one up is another great abstract one. I really, really like this image. I've taken similar images to this. I took one here in Vancouver on the sea bus. And it's one of my favorite images. I was trying to get some shots that day, and nothing was coming out. I'm sitting on the sea bus, and just torrential rain is creating these water droplets. Some of them were so big, they had these great reflections of the other side. And there were little prisms and little balls.
This is a very cool photograph.
I love this shot.
Wow.
This is The pattern in the background is really cool. You think it might be graffiti.
Graffiti, yeah.
But where are the droplets coming from? It really makes you think about the photo.
And what all that creates inside of each droplet.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's another rain thing to look for droplets on windows and on cars. If you're in a car and it's raining, you can look out through the car window and see if there's this kind of droplet stuff.
It's a very cool idea.
The downside of them is that the background has to be a certain distance away to get this kind of reflection. So you may have to maneuver yourself, moving yourself back and forth, or moving, if you can, the glass back and forth. You can carry around a piece of glass. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But to get those kinds of images, but I really, really like that shot. The next one, the black and white one, I this doesn't do much for me. How about you?
Actually, no, it doesn't. No.
I like the idea of the black and white because it feels like this. It makes it feel colder. It makes it feel more desolate, more remote. That's that one cabin there.
I don't like that straight line of the cloud right there. I know it's natural.
Yeah.
It's there. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
It distracts me. It makes me feel like it's two photographs, one on top of the other.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I'd love to see what this one looked like in color.
Me too.
I don't know that color would be better, but I'd be curious to know what kind of colors were in here. It feels like fall, again, because it's black and white. Maybe it's because it gives it that cold feeling that there's no snow on the ground, so I would assume that it was fall. The next shot is my favorite. It is spectacularly beautiful. I saw this shot, and my first thought was, this was not shot on an iPhone. There is no way that's going to be shot on an iPhone. And then I remembered that they allow people to edit it. So this was undoubtedly edited to make those colors pop, to increase the highlights, to decrease the shadows.
Beautiful texture.
This is a magnificent. This is a photo. I would tell the photographer, print this out. Get this on a poster and put it up in somebody's room. Sell it to me, and I'll put it up as a poster. It's a spectacularly beautiful image. Obviously taken at sunset or sunrise. Not exactly sure. I'm not sure where it is. You're an outdoorsy type gal. That where the rock has in the center of the photo, where the rock has avalanche down. There's a word for that. You know what it is?
What, the hoodoos?
No. The hoodoos are the things that are sticking up.
Oh, you're talking about where it's
Dead center of the image. There's those rocks that have obviously cascaded down, an avalanche of rocks. There's a word for that.
I know it's moraine. Like there's moraine when it's in
Scree slope. Thank you, Dave.
Scree.
D.
Thank you, Dave.
Dave's such a smart guy. The
I've
scree
hiked
slope.
up scree slopes. Yuck.
That for some reason that makes it look even more interesting to me.
Very
but yeah,
wild.
This is a beautiful, beautiful image. I would love to have this as a poster. Then the last one they have sounds like looks like it's from Germany. I don't know that I like this one either. I don't know that it's interesting enough for me. I think compositional wise, it's well done. I like the composition, I like the clouds, I like the trees.
It needs something else.
Yeah, it feels
and
like
I don't necessarily like this big dark tree up there
on the upper right.
in the upper right.
You think maybe you get rid of the tree
Even
or
get
get
rid of
more
it.
tree?
Get rid of it and then have something else. I don't know. It's got the potential to be quite a dynamic photograph.
I feel like I want something else in this image. I want a cow. I want a tractor. I want a horse. Something else in the image to give it
or
more
a kite or something.
to give it more life. Like I said, compositionally and the editing I think is very, very good, but the image itself doesn't do a lot for me.
A combine, yeah.
A combine, exactly. Something. Overall, I think Apple did an interesting job. There was a lot fewer portrait shots than I was expecting. I was expecting Apple to have many more face shots and more challenging lighting shots. I thought they would have wanted to show off the lighting aspects of the new iPhones. Maybe they're shying away from that because of the controversy of the Google Night Sight stuff. So I don't know. I don't think the judges were told to look for this shot or that shot. I think hopefully everything was in the up and up, and the judges just chose their best images. Overall, I really like the shots. The other interesting thing is I just saw a news story today. Apple is working with the NHL to do a shot on an iPhone campaign with hockey players. And it's shot on iPhone, and it's images of NHL players by NHL players that are up on the NHL arenas. So the Tampa Bay Lightnings have a big billboard outside their arena now with a shot on iPhone of this player by this player. It's kind of cool.
All right.
I hope they do that. I hope they extend that to other sports, other big arenas like that, whether it be basketball or football or baseball in the States. It's great that they're doing with hockey. I think that's absolutely fantastic that they're doing it with our favorite sport.